Pre-Columbian. Quimbaja tomb. This group of artifacts, one dating back to over 1,000 years ago, all come from the same Quimbaja tomb in Colombia. This tomb contains 2 burial urns in the corners of the room that contain bodies wrapped in a fetal position with textiles and rope, and stylized ceramics of its people that acted as tomb guardians. These guardians would have been decorated with tattoos, gold earrings, and other riches back when the deceased was laid to rest. A moccasin shoe pot from Nicaragua, 2, resides in the next room and was used for the same purpose. The textile from Peru hanging here is amazingly well preserved for being over 1,000 years old. 3. The ancient Maya lived in one of the most diverse forests in the world. They relied heavily on the plants and animals that surrounded them. These mannequins, 4, are representative of the people that lived over 1,000 years ago and incorporated this flora and fauna, or plants and animals, into their headdresses and clothing. Mannequins, often a Mayan's career, could be identified by their attire. 4. A scribe, for example, may have been identifiable by the shells worn on their wrists as a place to store ink, a hunter by his blown gun, and a ball player by his pads and solid rubber ball. In Mayan society, it was common practice for women to pierce their tongues and ears with stingray spines in a bloodletting ceremony to communicate with the gods. Maya. The ceiba, or kapok tree, was the sacred tree of the Maya. 5. The branches and trunk of the tree are covered with thick spines, creating a large, menacing appearance, which help protect it when it is young from animals chewing on its bark. Despite this, the tree is home to several species, notably bats, frogs, and birds, who live in its canopy and drink the nectar from its flowers. The tree's buttressing roots and high canopy represented the connection between the underworld gods and the upperworld gods, and thus honored by the ancient Maya. 6. Incense. Incense was used by the Maya for several purposes, ranging from religious ceremonies to funerals. This incense was made from sap of the copal tree and burned with tree bark covered in human blood and burned in various incensarios or incense burners. 7. Pre-Columbian. Would you be considered beautiful in Mesoamerican society? Chances are, if you don't have an elongated skull, you wouldn't. In pre-Columbian Central and South America, to achieve the highest standard of beauty, young children's skulls would be molded with stones or wood to create this elongated look. 8. Other unique beauty standards in Central and South America include crossed eyes, which would be achieved by dangling a bead between a child's eyes, and gems drilled or pressed into teeth. Bolas were a weapon of trauma used to fling rocks bound in leather pouches. This ancient skull, which is over 1,000 years old, is a prime example of an early surgical process. 9. When the brain would begin to swell due to blunt force trauma, a hole would be drilled into the head, relieving pressure. Believe it or not, this practice actually had a 50 to 80% success rate. On this skull, surgery was conducted twice, and the man lived, indicated by the healing that subsequently took place. Shrunken heads from South America, often used as a show of strength or to ward off enemies, were made by removing the skin from the decapitated head and shrinking it with hot rocks. 10. The sandstone statue was carved over 1,000 years ago in what is now Panama. It is being repaired by Maps Museum curators. 11. The gold you see here, 12, is from the Inca of Peru and is over 1,000 years old. The quest to acquire gold and send it back to the Queen of Spain changed the course of history in a dramatic way. Spanish conquistadors killed indigenous people by the thousands through warfare and disease in pursuit of this highly prized material.